Greetings, my dear friends. This is Sunday School with Dr. Don, and I just want to take a moment and say, I'm so glad you're here today because I truly believe this message is not a worldly one, but a divine one. Today, we're going to be talking about something that has the power to change your life immediately. And the title of today's message is The Art of Becoming the person God planned you to be. Now, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you're not quite who you're supposed to be yet? Like there's more in you, but you haven't stepped into it yet? You're not alone. But today that changes. And we have an opening scripture that I want to share with you. And it's in Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. It's written by Paul. It says, "And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God for you." So it talks a little bit about proving God that he's wanting something great, but it takes a transformation for it to happen. And that's where we notice something. God didn't say be improved. He said be transformed. Okay, and that's where it takes. And I want to take you back to a moment in your life. Maybe it was the day you got laid off. Maybe it was the breakup you never saw coming. Maybe it was the moment someone you trusted let you down. That moment, you didn't ask for it. You didn't plan for it. But here's the question. What did you do next? Because that moment defines everything. In that moment, you had two choices. You may not have realized it, but you did. You could either give yourself your power away or take it back, That's where there's a quote out there. It goes like this. It says, becoming is not about striving to be someone else. It's about surrendering to the person God has already designed you to be. God is wanting to do a great thing in your life. And we're going to go through 7 points here again this Sunday and hopefully get a better understanding of becoming the person we need to be. And point number 1, it says, it starts with taking ownership of your life. It starts with taking ownership of your life. And in Galatians chapter 6, verse 5, it says, for each one shall bear his own load. It's all our load. It's not somebody else's load. It's your responsibility. And it starts with that ownership. There comes a moment in life where blame stops working, where excuses run out, where pointing fingers no longer brings peace. I remember hearing about a man, we called him Carlos. Carlos had been through everything: abuse as a child, financial collapse, addictions, loss. And when he stood up to speak, you could feel the weight he carried. But here's what shocked everyone. His voice didn't shake. His hands didn't tremble. There was a peace about him. And he said something that I will never, ever forget. I spent 20 years for someone to save me. Then one day I realized I was the only one coming. And it landed. The message hit. It's all about us. We have to take ownership. And that is the moment everything changed, because ownership says, this happened, I didn't choose it, but now I choose what I do next. We need to take that into consideration. A lot of things will happen to you in life that you didn't choose, but what you do next is the important part. And that leads us to point 2. It says, stop waiting for the right time and start becoming. Stop waiting for the right time and start becoming. And the scripture verse I use in here is 2 Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 2. It says, now is the acceptable time, now is the day. We don't wait around. We live in a world of someday. That's the type of world we live in. I once spoke a message titled it Someday Island. Everybody is saying, someday I'll be on that island. But someday never comes. We say to ourselves, someday I'll change. Someday I'll step into who I'm meant to be. But God says, now. Now is the acceptable day. I met a man once who ran his first marathon, and I asked him, what was the hardest part? And he didn't say the miles. He didn't say the pain. He said, convincing myself I was a runner before I ever ran. That was the hardest part, because you have to convince yourself that you are preciously made by God, that you have a purpose, and you need to walk in that. And today is the day. You don't wait until you arrive. You become on the way. It's part of the process of becoming. As you live your life, as long as you're going after and seeking after God in your life, He will direct and guide you. There's nothing more exciting for your Creator than having individuals such as you wanting to become what He has created you to be. Point 3, God has a process that we need to love. God has a process that we need to love. And in Galatians chapter 6, verse 9, it says, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Yeah, we can't get weary. We are obsessed with results, likes, followers, success, whatever it might be. But God is not obsessed with the outcome. He's invested in the process. It's the process that we're in right now. That's what He's invested. That's what we have to love. It might not be an easy process, but it's a process that we're in right now. And I met a young athlete one time, talented, disciplined, but completely burned out. Completely burned out. Why? Because every game he felt like a test. Every moment felt like pressure. So I asked him, what made you fall in love with this? And he smiled and said, the training, the sound of my shoes on the floor, the feeling of getting better. He had forgotten the process. He had forgotten what he loved. He started looking for the results and not loving the process. Talking about the sounds, I love hearing basketballs being dribbled on a wood floor. I've got many memories of a young person playing in a gym with basketballs, and it's just like music to my ears. But athletes realize it is all about the process. And when you fall in love with the process, you stop quitting when it gets harder. You keep yourself moving because it's the process that you love. It's the daily routines that you do. It's the getting up early. It's the studying. It's the little things that you do that help develop you and help you to become the person you're meant to be. It is about the process. You're not looking for the results because the results might not always be there. You might not see them yet, but it's the process that will lead you someday to the results. Point number 4, some need a shift in their identity. Some need a shift in their identity. And in Proverbs 23:7 it says, for as he thinketh within himself, so is he. As he thinks within himself, so is he. So much is about how we think of ourselves. We become that. So what we think on all the time becomes us. You don't become by accident. It's the art of becoming. It's not an accident. You come by identity. This is what I am. This is what I'm going after. This is what I am. I worked with a leader once that kept saying, I don't feel like a leader. So we didn't change his skills first. We changed his identity. Every morning he declared, I am a leader. I am a leader. And something shifted. He walked differently, spoke differently, he led differently. Everything about him changed. And that's where in our life, sometimes I encourage people. I talked a little bit about one time an artist going to school to become an artist, And I said to the class I was teaching, I said, when is that artist an artist? Is it after 4 years? Is it after 1 year? Or is it the first moment he can look himself in the mirror, he or she, and say, I am an artist? And so much in our life is finding our identity and be able to speak it to ourselves, because as soon as we start to speak it, we start becoming. This is the art of becoming. Stop saying, I'm trying, and start saying, I am becoming. I am becoming. Point number 5 says, learning to question things in life before judging. And in James 1:5, it says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. We need to ask questions, and we need to ask for the wisdom that we need, because God is wanting us to become us more than we want to become us. And that's the art of becoming. When things go wrong, we judge, but growth begins when we ask. When we ask, what happened? What was all this? What did I do wrong? How can I change? That's when growth, so many people shut it down. And I have a story of a woman who was passed over for a promotion. She was angry, ready to quit. She said, I don't see my value. But instead of quitting, she asked the question, what can I learn from this? 6 months later, she stepped into a greater opportunity. She asked the questions in life. So many times situations rise up and we could get down on ourselves, but we need to establish an identity and we need to ask the right questions. How can I grow in this? Curiosity opens the door, judgment shuts it. And that leads us to point 6. Living by values and not by feelings. Living by values and not by feelings. And Luke 16:10, it says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will be dishonest with much. Okay, so this is an interesting little scripture here. Feelings, I want you to get this. Feelings are temporary. Values are eternal. There's times you're going to feel all sorts of things, but when you establish your values, these are areas in your life that are valuable. This is an eternal type thing. A woman training for a triathlon woke up every morning at 5 a.m. Not because she felt like it, because she says, I respect myself too much not to. Too much not to. Your future is not built on feelings. It's built on decisions. And I know right now I'm working on a message. I'm working on a message which someday you might hear on this class here. It's called Love is a Decision. We make decisions in life. We establish values in life of who we want to be and what we want to be. So then when feelings come up, and they always do, we can do things. We can discipline ourselves because we don't allow our feelings to dictate our life. It's the values we have established in our life. Point 7, last point here, says the art of becoming is a daily decision. The art of becoming is a daily decision. And in Luke 9:23, it says, then he said unto them all, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross daily and follow me. Okay, the teaching is every day. You choose who you will be. It's every day. It's a daily decision. Every morning you stand at the crossroads. Will I give my power away or will I take it back? It's a daily process of saying, this is who I am. I am becoming. And that's where you don't become powerful when life is easy. You become powerful when you refuse to quit. You just do never give up. So now I ask you, who will you become starting today? Not tomorrow, not someday, but today. And I pray that God will bless you in this, that He will allow the greatness to be a part of you, that you can take ownership of your life, that your mind can be renewed, that you can step into who you were created to be, and that you can receive the courage, the strength, and the clarity you need, and that today you can say yes to becoming the person that God has designed you to be. And if this message spoke to you, I want you to share it because someone else needs this. And remember, your life doesn't change when it gets easier. It changes when you decide to become the person that God has blessed you to be. And I'm excited that you tuned in with me today all the way to the end. God bless, and we'll see you next week.